Okay, thoughts on the new QC Mini? I'm hearing a lot of different takes on this thing. First of all, it's sold out. So maybe that's the most resounding opinion out there. Right. Obviously, it's sold
people
out.
Have voted.
The people voted with their wallet. Sweetwater, I guess, got them. They sold out, and now Sweetwater's going to get another round, and then it's going to start hitting dealers and stuff. So it could sell out again. I don't know how many units they got, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. I have no idea how many actually sold out. But I know they were practically glued down to the table. I mean, they were secured to the table. You couldn't pick it up at NAMM when people wanted to try them. It's a full QC. I played around with it, touched it a couple times. I hear some people say $1,400. That's crazy. It should be $1,000. But it is a full QC in there. My take is it costs only a little less because it's only a little less stuff. It's only a little less metal, a few less switches. But inside is the same stuff that makes the QC work.
Right.
Of course, the form factor is different, so it's smaller. But in terms of, it's a full QC in there. It operates the same way.
Yeah.
And this really seemed to rattle people's mind online. I saw all these people. I saw a guy post a video of Digital John, who works at Neural DSP, a video where he shows a plugin on the unit, and someone still posted, "This guy says it can run the plugin. Can anyone confirm?" And it was like, it's a QC. It's the same firmware, same everything, same capability.
I think that's where when I learned that it was essentially a full quad Cortex.
Yeah.
So when I only saw 4 buttons at first, I was like, oh, okay, so it's like half the DSP,
and it's mini,
and it's smaller, and it's big screen, cool. But to learn that it's the functionality exactly the same as the big one, that kind of solidified it for me, because the mini's cool. It's like the same thing as the what is it called, the Tone X1, right?
Oh, yeah.
The mini is, right? It's like really cumbersome to change things. It's like you set it and forget it type of thing.
Yes.
But yeah, my only concern with I think building or patches on the Quad Cortex Mini on the device itself would be cumbersome or annoying.
Yes, yeah.
I
don't know about you though.
Why would you say that? I'm just curious.
Because the way that you have to use I don't know, it's different than...
I use the knobs a lot to change when I'm on the device.
As like
just to dial in things.
Because the screen is the same size, I heard.
The screen's the same size.
From the two quad, yeah.
I don't know about you, though. Almost all of my QC editing is on the editor.
And that's
I hardly ever use the device touchscreen, really.
And that's the thing. I never use the editor, or I never use the device itself to do that. So that wouldn't really be an issue. I mean... It's pretty wild. At first, I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." I didn't really get it, but to know that it has all the same capabilities, that justifies the price for me a little bit more.
What'd you think, Suze? What was your take when you first saw this?
Well, first when I saw the video, I thought it was the size of like a phone, I was like, "Oh, that's cool!" And I just looked at it and thought, "Oh, that'll be $9.99, and it will be like a dual Cortex, like it'll be like half the whatever, you know." And I was like, that's actually really cool to put on a smaller than an HX Stomp. But then I realized, so it's quite a bit bigger than I was thinking. It's more powerful than I was thinking.
In person, it looks like a PSP. It looks like a little gaming unit.
Yeah.
It's like that size where it's like kind of wide and big.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The design is very awesome. Like that it's all screen, but then you can use the foot switches like live. I think I don't know what else you would want. Like that, they killed that part of it, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then like you still get 8 buttons if you just hold down the button. Like that's really intuitive. Like there you go. I mean, the fact that you can still, you said this too, like that you can still use all the same presets. Like, and you still have 8 scenes. That you don't have to mess with any of that. I mean, they've done a lot right with how they rolled it out.
And maybe that's kind of the bigger point that I didn't make, is it's not just that it has the same capability. It's that now whatever you've made for the Quad Cortex works in both, which is not the same for something like the Line 6, where it's like you have to you can't import stuff that you've made in other
places.
Yeah.
And it's not like the Nano Cortex where it's like you can run the captures on the Nano Cortex, but it really doesn't have all the capability of the big.
Right.
Yeah, and I never played the Nano Cortex, but it has all of the effects and stuff on there. It does not. It's just
it has fixed effects slots, so some of the effects are the same, but it doesn't have all of them, and you can only run captures on there.
I see. Okay, so totally different.
Pretty much totally different. There's no screen.
Customers and everything.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it's pretty much use it with the phone app and
I gotcha.
And kind of it's their mini offering. It's that, or their it's their nano. It's their like simplified offering.
Okay.
I thought I actually did a video before NAMM that said I don't think QC's coming out with anything, mostly because I had texted Doug. We had traded some texts, and I said, "Hey, is John going to be at the event?" Like I figured if John might be being the plugin. Mm-hmm. He played at the PRS booth when they released the Silver Sky, and this is a signature thing. He said, "No, John's busy. He's playing somewhere else." He said, "And I'm actually not going. I'm just sending my guys." So I figured they're doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Then they come out with this new unit, right? And so I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
I thought they would go smaller, I thought they would go bigger. I thought if they were going to do anything, it would be like a super Cortex, like an Octa Cortex.
With like a built-in pedal.
Yeah, like with a built-in pedal, like an even
style,
bigger.
Yeah.
And the reason I thought that was the V2 captures are even larger. And so I thought going down, it would be difficult. You've just made this new thing that goes, that's actually a larger thing. Mm-hmm. And then now we've seen with the reverbs, they've gone, some of those reverbs are, I think, new verbs. So it just feels like going half DSP seems like it would work against them in terms of like, we have this new unit, but it's like pretty limited because V2 captures are bigger and stuff. So it's like you kind of need the horsepower if you want to run dual amps. I don't think they were going to be able to make a half power dual kind of thing. Or if they did, it would be super limited.
Right.
But here's what I at first was like, okay, this is an interesting unit. Does this cannibalize Quad Cortex sales and stuff? But then I started thinking, who's it for? And I have some ideas, but who do you think this appeals to the most?
See, this is the thing, is that I really looked at it and I was like, do I want that? Yeah, and I think the answer is...
It looks so cool.
It really does.
It really is like, do I want that? And it's like, I don't think the answer is yes. If I was going to like build a Mondo pedal board and I was going to want to run pedals in and out of it, because it has 2 effects loops. Right.
Oh,
so you can run 2 different effects like before and after.
Which I think tells you who they're designing this for, who they think it's going to be used by.
I think it's actually meant to replace the Tonex.
Yeah.
Right? As like a better...
Yeah.
Is it about that size?
It's about as... Well... It's funny you said Tonex, but I thought you meant HX Stomp. It's about as tall as the HX Stomp, but it's about 50% longer, like wider than an HX Stomp. So what I think their real target is here is like, if you're a person who's running a Morningstar and you're already putting pedals in loops and you're already sending MIDI out to a Big Sky, a whatever, you might have an HX Stomp on there. This thing represents the most capability per like square inch on your pedal board by far.
Yeah.
It's a full Quad Cortex brain that you can just control with other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the whole thing's a touch screen, so it's easy to like manipulate if you want to by yourself.
Yeah.
So you can have it do a million things, and Quad Cortex has kind of lived in this middle ground where it's like it's an all-in-one unit, but if you were going to integrate pedals with any of the big boy units, QC is kind of at that size where it's like you could get away with having it on a pedal board. And the pedal board wouldn't have to be huge. Definitely has been smaller than a Stage, smaller than a Helix. So it kind of fit. This thing to me now is like, man, if you're doing MIDI changes, if you have pedals running in loops and you have all this stuff automated, this is by far the most capable. This will probably double your capability on any board for not a lot of real estate. And then you could put things in in the loop, like you said, and $50, $60, $70 gets you a little MIDI switcher like the Air Step,
right?
And this thing can kind of do the loops for you because it has the 2 loops, like you said.
So that's the thing, right? It's like if it becomes the brain, it's like it becomes the brain and the amp of your rig, essentially. But it's like, I mean, obviously it's it maximizes an existing pedal board because, I mean, I'm bringing just the Quad Cortex with an expression pedal.
Right.
That's my entire rig.
Right.
So it's basically all of that plus, smaller.
I think the other niche is like, there's always been worship people asking for. We want captures, stereo captures, 2 sides, and maybe the ability to run some effects. And that hasn't actually existed till right now.
Right.
It has existed in the larger units, but it hasn't existed in something small. A lot of people's complaint about Tonex has been, well, I can't run stereo. Why isn't it stereo captures? Why isn't it stereo? Their solution has been just buy 2 Tonex ones.
Right.
Like you can get away, you can do it. Are you going to have to do 2 double power supply? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to have to do the extra cables? Yes. But at the price point they've hit at the $179 for 2 Tonex, they're not going to come out with another unit that does 2 Tonex to ones because there's not enough people that are going to buy it. So I think for the worship guys too, this is like, if you want to play pedals and you want some on your board, you just want a player thing. It's not the Kemper player.
Yeah.
It's not the HX Stomp. I mean, the HX Stomp does it, but it doesn't do captures. This is now the stereo capture device too.
Yeah, that's
but $1,400 is steep for
a
that.
lot of money, yeah.
Right? So it's not really.
I was just
going
to say it's really a lot more expensive than 2 Tonex ones.
It is,
and way more capable,
and way more capable, right?
Yeah.
And so it's there. I think it also hits that niche of the guys who are like, hey, dude, you already got $4,500 worth of stuff on your board. You're not going to bat an eye at $1,400. You're going to do it.
Yeah,
we know you're going to do it.
The other thing too, because kind of if you kind of take a step back and look at what the Quad Cortex is, I remember the first time I saw the Quad Cortex in real life. I was like, oh, it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be, because I was so used to the Helix and the Kemper stage. Those things are huge.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's like to put those on a board seems silly. It's like maybe you would have an auxiliary board next to it, but you wouldn't put those on a board. That is the board.
Right.
Where you kind of can't really, I mean, you can bring a Quad Cortex by itself with no board, but it seems silly to. It seems like that wants to be on a board.
Like it wants to be on a board with an expression pedal.
With an expression pedal. And so
the mini or the big
one.
Oh,
it's like the big one to me split this weird.
It is sitting right in the middle, because you do hear people say that the foot switches are too close together, which I don't find, but I see what people are saying.
Yeah,
they're saying, which I mean, look, if you're wearing your double wide, New Balance dad shoe, right? Maybe you can't
you're
hit
hitting
the
both
thing,
switches.
right?
Yeah.
Then I haven't had too much trouble with that.
Yeah,
but yeah. I don't know. So I'm interested to see what happens with it, but I keep going back and forth because I really haven't totally answered. Like, do I want this?
Yeah.
Is that?
I think it only makes sense to answer your other question. I think it only makes sense for people that want to put it on a board. Like, and that's, I wouldn't say the same thing about the big QC because that always felt too big to put on a board to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you adding to that? Like you have 8 switches, you have all
it's
delay, reverb, drives. Like, what are you adding?
It's
like,
people who like to have that one pedal they can't get away from, like nothing's quite like because I do see them and people, but it's usually only with like 1 or 2 pedals. Someone will put it with like a Maris.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like, they're like some kind of compressor,
right?
Or just something more specialized.
Yeah. So like my thing is like I still sort of feel that way about the Mini. Is like now what do you add? Like if I put that on my board, it's like, well, I've got the timeline, big sky, bunch of drives, compressor. Like I've got all the stuff I like using. So really, I'm just going for amps at that point. Maybe I might turn on like a chorus or something. So then the price point starts to kill me because it's like, well, now I'm introducing it to my board. When really I just need amps. Yeah. Now we're back to so it does kind of split like maybe it's a small board, like a little
I wonder,
mini
though,
pedal train mini or something.
I wonder though, how many boards that are really expensive do you see that have an HX Stomp on it just because the HX Stomp covers so much ground for extra stuff?
Yeah.
And I kind of think those guys are not constrained by the price. So I wonder if you see HX Stomps disappearing and that thing showing up in the sort of do anything that I need it to.
And maybe it's not a big deal if you're sort of underusing it. If it sounds incredible and it does what you need, it's like, oh, I wish it was $300 less. It's like, over the course of owning it for years, like, I don't know.
There's probably a lot of people who use the Big Sky and Timeline, and they're using, sounds in there that you really can get with cheaper units and other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You throw on a spring and then like one other thing. But there's a lot of people who use
or they're using the same 2 sounds.
Yes, right.
And it's
that's
capable
of
like a million.
Right.
So I think that's kind of the whole thing, right? Is, or I think a lot of our most expensive gear is sort of underused when we're playing out.
Totally. Yeah, I use 3 sounds on the Big Sky, but it's worth the price of admission. Like it sounds so good, you know what I mean? So it's like it's doing its job.
Yeah. I think the other person this is for, and Sean from Signal Tutorials, which is what I call them now.
Oh.
Sean pointed this out to me. He pointed out that, like, he's a metal guy, you know, and he pointed out that when he was touring and stuff, it was all Kemper in the metal scene, tons of Kempers in racks. And he's like, QC doesn't have a rack. So he was like, what you see is QCs in rack drawers. He was pointing out that, like, you can now fit 2 of these minis in a single rack drawer where you couldn't really do that with the QC. And so it's like now you have your redundant backup in one rack, or you have 2 of them if you need 2. And it's less rack space. And he felt like this is you're probably going to see all the guys using a Quad Cortex in a rack using MIDI if they're going to replace it with this. Or they're just, next time they buy one, it's going to be this. They're not going to go for that other one. Not really a world I'm in. I wonder, though, if someone could make the little ears that just put it on the front of a rack. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you could.
And so that, you know, you have the ears to mount it on a rack, and then it just sits in the middle, and then you really can just touch it, and it would be kind of like a QC rack. Right. I mean, that's kind of what you could build. I wonder if you could put 2 of them. You might be able to put 2 of them side by side.
Octo Cortex?
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm sure anyone could build that rack unit. I'm sure some company's already going to build that rack unit, just, you know, put it right in there. It's just got to maybe secure to some screws that are on the side.
I know. It is kind of crazy that, I mean, that's, I think, something that's really cool about the Kemper is the rack unit.
Yeah.
Because that was, you know, I think that's like a smart.
It's really designed for touring. I mean, that was a big,
yeah.
And then the lunch box is, of course, a silly sort of shape, but it works, you know.
Yeah,
I'm into it. I think I'm not surprised. Do you think we see? Just curious, like, do you think they sell a lot more of these compared to QCs now in the future? Do you think the main QC remains? Of course, they're going to get a huge bump in sales, right?
I think they'll sell more of these.
Yeah,
because it's the same functionality for less price.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
it is. At the end of the day, yeah.
And if you just want to be able to use these sounds, it's a cheaper way to get into that.
Yeah.
And it's not as limiting, where the Nano Cortex is like very limited.
Yeah, it's like a different product, really. It's not even the same kind of family.
So I think they'll sell a lot.
Yeah, it's like, who's the big one for now? You know, it's for the people that that want it all in one, maybe, and need the extra switches.
Yeah, they want to be able to just take that mostly
by itself,
and they don't want to. They don't want to. They, you know, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to your point, you can get a controller for the Mini, and it's like you have all the switches you'd ever need.
$60, yeah. But to do that, then you got to go. I definitely want to see if someone is going to go. I'm going to buy this and the controller, and I'm going to save a little money. To me, I go, is it worth the $100 or $200 you're going to save? Because now you have to program that whole thing via MIDI. Like, I would rather just assign a button. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather just assign a button, like, you know, assign it, and so it's not the end of the world. It's just, but yeah, it's